Hey gals, welcome back to my channel where I help women like you grow and monetize their podcasts. Every podcaster, no matter if you're just starting out or you've been releasing episodes for a while, wants more listeners, right? Yeah, I see you. I'm willing to bet money on the fact you would never say, "Oh yeah, I'm good here, thanks," after hitting your listenership goals. No, you want, and frankly are worthy of, continuous growth. First of all, remember that like other digital marketing platforms, quality is always better than quantity. However, other than the very validating and very delightful ego boost you get when your listenership grows, there are all kinds of other benefits too. Like the fact that a large audience will help you attract sponsors, approach podcast networks maybe, if that's something you're interested in, and ultimately attract more options for community engagement and monetization. Seeing a podcast with a huge following tells people there's something worth their time at the end of the follow, subscribe, or push of the play button. But how do you get there before you're, there? How do you build a podcast audience in an ongoing and sustainable way? Yep, I'm about to tell you all of that right now. Be sure to stick around at the end of my step-by-step for one of my personal favorite bonus tips, which also just happens to be super fun for growing your listenership and keeping them around. Alrighty, here we go. If you're new here, I'm Lauren Popish, founder of The Wave Podcasting. The Wave helps women grow and monetize their podcasts. Consider me the Velma Dinky of podcasting. I put in the behind-the-scenes work, ask all of the questions, and solve the mystery of podcasting to the benefit of everyone. Also, I look great in orange. It's just a skill. I release weekly videos on the subjects of crafting, producing, growing, and monetizing your podcast. So if that sounds useful, be sure to subscribe to our channel by hitting the subscribe button in the lower right, and be sure to hit the bell so you can get notified every time we have a new episode. How do I grow my podcast audience? Building an audience is not the goal. Yeah, building an engaged audience is. Engaged listeners act on what they hear, and they're quicker to come back for more. They want to spend time with you, their friend, every week. Heck, maybe even every day. Although you may not be releasing an episode every day, it's good to remember that engaged listeners are the ones who follow you on other social platforms to get more of you in their lives. So there are ways to reach them daily. Not only that, but engaged listeners buy your products and services, they tell other people about your show, and they listen to your show enthusiastically. In that sense, engaging listeners can also help you grow your listenership just as much as any other marketing technique. To develop engaged listeners, you have to change the communication channel from one-way to two-way. In other words, instead of simply talking at them from your podcast, you need to open up a communication channel for them to be able to talk back to you. Make it about them as much as it is about you. Make it a chat. Have a chin wag. Something my English husband says. It's a thing, I promise. Pro tip number 1. With so many distractions and apps enticing people away from one piece of content to the next, living in the here and now is where you want to be. A way to utilize this here and now mindset to your podcast's advantage is to employ the live feature on Instagram or any other platform of your choice. More specifically, promote recently released episodes using Instagram Live instead of just post stories and reels. As a podcaster, you might be really tempted to tease items and mention up-and-coming releases or features. And while this can absolutely help with the more exciting portions of your podcast, it can quickly lose the interest of your audience, who are fast to move on to the next thing in their feed that is ripe for the picking. This means they soon forget that release date that you mentioned or upcoming guest you talked about 2 moments ago. Going live lets your audience join you in real time. It quickly snaps them into the here and now, breaking up the endless scroll to bring them to the present here with you. By joining you on your live feed, they are no longer seeing the rest of the items that could be tempting them, waiting for them to come over and say hi. It's just you and them. Going live feels more like a conversation because you can actually engage with viewers when they join the broadcast by welcoming them in and responding to comments as they float across your screen in real time. This gives your audience immediate acknowledgement and investment in seeing what happens next. To take these lives to the next level, you can consider inviting a guest to join you and automatically reach their audience as well. This is an excellent technique if you found that it's really difficult to get your guests to post about their appearance on your show. All of us struggle with this. Instead of asking your guests to post some image that you created for them on their feed, ask them to give you 15 minutes the week of their episode release to discuss the recent episode. You could also bring in your audience in an interactive sense by hosting an Ask Me Anything to encourage questions in the chat, or even prompting them to join your live and passing the mic to ask them face to face. How nice that they get to interact with you after feeling like they already know you so well after listening to every episode. If you're able to make this scheduling consistent, that's the key. Lauren D for our team actually watches her favorite drag performers go live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and she literally plans ahead to make sure she can be there and chat with them ahead of time as a part of her social calendar. Your audience considers you a friend, so make them feel welcome and extend that friendship. This conversation will entice listeners to want to support your work by heading over to their favorite podcast streaming app for more. Pro tip number 2. Having somewhere for your audience to go at any time that suits them to connect with you and the rest of your community is a great tool. By doing this, you exist in their lives, even when you're busy living your best life, or perhaps live in a completely different time zone to your audience. Slack or other community platforms like Discord or Circle, the platform that we use, are great places for you to create channels, events, conversation threads, shoutouts, and more. You can really get specific to your audience and what resonates with them to curate a space that feels like they're with you inside an episode, even when they're not. And also for them to share that love with other fans who feel that same familiarity with your podcast. People crave community. I know I do. And when you can help them talk not just to you, but to each other, that's how you build something bigger than yourself. If you want to start small and test the waters, take a page out of Florence Given's book. Every so often, she'll post a photo on her Instagram and encourage, via the caption, her followers to introduce themselves and make friends in the comments. When followers meet each other in real life, they'll tag her and she'll share it in her stories. It makes them feel seen and special and part of something bigger than just her, and instead a part of this amazing community she's created. My coworker was new to a city and met someone else who was also new to that city in the comment section. And as a result, they attended Pride together and they've been friends ever since. They owed this magical friendship to Florence. Imagine you being the person that brings BFFs together because they already share common values and interests on your podcast topic. They just needed you to make the introduction, and now you're the common thread in the relationship. So cute and special. Pro tip number 3. Let me start this third tip by saying I prefer encouraging podcasters to build out communities you have ownership of, like email lists. However, messages on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok are accessible and sometimes the preferred communication channel for individuals. So don't discount or neglect those who come to you via your DMs. If, like me, you're trying to create better boundaries with your social media time, you can set up your account with a generated response that comes to people when they write to you. This will be an acknowledgement of the message received with a genuine thank you for their time and how grateful you are for it, and the promise to reply as soon as you check your messages on specific days or times. You can be as open with your reasoning as feels good for you, but either way, this means you can establish a schedule that suits you and your limitations to sit and give your messages a genuine reply within your means. Just make sure you don't leave them on read. check out our reels for a demo on how to set this feature up on Instagram. As promised, here is one of my favorite little bonus tips as an extra special bonus for you. In order to get people to start a two-way conversation with you outside of your show, you might need a little incentive. I suggest that you try reading out reviews or comments or even playing voicemails that your listeners have shared on your show. Hearing their name or their message on an episode of a show they really love is beyond exciting, and hearing them encourages others to write in or call themselves. People love receiving this kind of public acknowledgement and more so love the idea of being featured on their favorite podcast. Additionally, you can also use polls, riddles, questions, anything at the end of your show to prompt people on topics to communicate with you about and steer the conversation to where you want it to go. As this grows, you can consider adding mailbag episodes that are dedicated to just your audience. Their mail, voice messages, reviews, and emails, getting other voices into the space. Okay, podcasters, let's recap your steps for success. Use the live feature on Instagram or other social platform to engage with your audience in real time, making it a conversation rather than one-sided. Build a community that can bring your audience together between episodes. Don't leave your messages unread. Be sure to respond to those who have taken the time to reach out to you. And lastly, my bonus tip is to incentivize your audience to engage with you by reading their comments, reviews, and emails in mailbag episodes or at the end of your episodes, making your audience an integral and meaningful part of your podcast. Podcasting can feel like a solo journey when you're in the weeds, editing audio, writing show notes, or recording back-to-back episodes in a day. Don't forget that without your audience, you're just talking out into the universe, hoping someone will hear. Remember how important your listeners are to your success. Thank them for it by returning the engagement, and as a result, watch your listenership grow. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and if you've got questions, throw them in the comment section below, or let me know about other podcast-related topics you'd like to hear about. Until next time, thanks for watching, keep podcasting, and enjoy the ride.